The story of the frog.
A frog he would a woo and go, hey ho, said Rowley. A frog he would a woo and go, whether his mother would let him or no. With a roly-poly, gammon and spinach, hey ho, said Anthony Rowley. So off he said with his opera hat, hey ho, said Rowley. So off he said with his opera hat, and on the road he met with a rat with a roly-poly, gammon and spinach, hey ho, said Anthony Rowley. Mr. Rat, will you go with me? Hey ho, said Rowley. But Mr. Rat, will you go with me? Kind Miss Mousy for to see. Roly-poly, gammon and spinach, hey ho, said Anthony Rowley. They came to the door of Mousie's hole. Hey ho, said Rowley. They give a loud knock and they give a loud call. The roly-poly, gathered and spinach, hey ho, said Anthony Rowley. Pray, Mrs. Mouse, are you within? Hey ho, said Rowley.
Oh yes, kind sirs, I'm sitting to spin.
Roly-poly, gammon and spinach, hey ho, said Anthony Rowley.
Pray, Mr. Frog, will you give us a song?
Hey ho, said
Pray,
Rowley.
Mr. Frog, will you give us a song? Well, let it be something that's not very
With
long.
a roly-poly, gammon and spinach, hey ho, said Anthony Rowley. Indeed, Mrs. Mouse, replied Mr. Frog. Hey ho, said Rowley. A cold has made me as hoarse as a dog. With a roly-poly, gammon and spinach, hey ho, said Anthony Rowley.
Since you have a cold, Mr. Frog.
Hey ho, said Rowley. I'll sing you a song that I just made. Roly-poly, gammon and spinach, hey ho, said Anthony Rowley. But while they were all a merry-making, hey ho, said Rowley, a cat and her kittens came tumbling in. With a roly-poly, gammon and spinach, hey ho, said Anthony Rowley. The cat, she seized the rat by the crown. Hey ho, said Rowley. The kittens, they pulled the little mouse down. With a roly-poly, gammon and spinach, hey ho, said Anthony Rowley. This put Mr. Frog in a terrible fright. Hey ho, said Rowley. He took up his hat and he wished them good night. With a roly-poly, gammon and spinach, hey ho, said Anthony Rowley. But as the froggy was crossing the brook, hey ho, said Rowley, a lily white duck came and gobbled him up. With a roly-poly, gammon and spinach, hey ho, said Anthony Rowley. So that was an end of 1, 2, 3. Hey ho, said Rowley. The rat, the mouse, and Mr. Froggy. Roly-poly, gammon and spinach, hey ho, said Anthony Rowley. Said Anthony Rowley.